Welcome back to the Gweilo 60 channel. It's been 100 days, well, 100 and some days since Trump became president of the United States, and he has done some really stupid things and said some stupid things over the last 100 days. So I'm going to go over a little bit of this, and you're going to go, yeah, he did do that. And maybe we'll go back a little bit further, because he does shoot himself in the foot every once in a while. There's some things that I do agree with on him, but I'm not going to talk to you about that in this video. But everybody's been watching what's going on in Palestine, and the Palestinian people, which had a Palestinian state till the Israelis got in there. Now Zionism is the idea of taking over the whole area and turning it into a big Jewish state, and it's a political thorn in the side of the rest of the world. But the United States seems to back everything that Netanyahu does and or says, and created many wars over in the Middle East just because of this Gomer Pyle type thing. But Trump, he says, well, maybe we should relocate all of the Palestinians out of the Gaza Strip and turn it into, there's those loud bikes, and turn it into, get this, a resort on the sea, because it's nice sand area. It very seldom rains. It's got the ocean right next door. It'd be perfect. It'd be perfect for a tourist destination, the Palestinian Gaza tourist destination. How dumb do you have to get? Genocide's going on in that area of the world, and nobody's disputing except for the Israelis. And women and children are being bombed, killed, genocided. Hospitals are being bombed. Encampments are being bombed. Where there's no Hamas, there's just women, children, old people. They've stopped all of the food, any resources going into the Gaza Strip. The Israelis have, and the United States is going, yeah, that's we're on the Israeli side. So let's just turn it into a tourist resort. Get rid of the Palestinians, and it'll be perfect. Everybody will be happy. Just recently, Trump. Well, why don't we open up Alcatraz? And instead of sending all of those really bad hombres down to El Salvador, because a judge has said, well, no, you can't deport people to prisons in other parts of the world. That's unconstitutional. It's against the law. You just can't do that. Well, Trump's well, he's got a couple different things, whether he's going to listen to them or not. He's talking about sending the bad guys to Libya now and just ignoring what the judge has said, type thing. The other one is open up Alcatraz. Alcatraz, I think, has been closed since 1963. It used to house people like Al Capone, the high-profile criminals back in that era, that day. And it was basically, you could never get out of there. Nobody ever broke. Well, but they say they had somebody break out of there. Whether they did or not, there's two different sides of that story. I'm not going to get into it. It doesn't matter. But it was closed down because it was too expensive to run. And I think they could only put like 160-some prisoners in Alcatraz, and it's an entire island. It makes over $60 million, because it's a museum now. It makes over $60 million a year in tourism. So you're going to throw that $60 million away, and you're going to open up the most expensive, cost over $105 per inmate per day if they open it up, to house inmates, and you can only get 160 some in there. They might expand it, make it bigger, where they get more, but there's probably better ways to do this than open up Alcatraz. But Don, he listens to himself in his own brain. He was probably watching TV, Escape from Alcatraz with Clint Eastwood or whatever, and the Birdman, and got him thinking, wow, we have another prison, and it's unescapable, and it'd be perfect. It would be perfect for exactly what I wanted for, and it'll be a great thing for the world and a great thing for the United States. It'll be great. It'll be the greatest prison ever, and it's all my idea. Yes, this is the type of person that is the president of the United States of America at this point. everybody knows that Mexican cartels are bad people, and they flood the United States with drugs, and there's killings in Mexico, and they're just bad hombres. But the Don, he figures that he should be able to send U.S. military across the border, call these cartels terrorist organizations, and hunt them down in a sovereign nation like Mexico. Well, the Mexican government is saying, no, you can't do that. You can't occupy our country, come down here and start shooting our citizens. How do you know due process and all of this other stuff that comes into play in a situation like this? But the Don says, well, it would be better for everybody if you just let our military do this and that and the other thing. The way that they've covered their southern border with military bases so the military can stop people from coming into the United States, I do agree on that. That's a good thing to do. But occupying a sovereign nation to fight criminal organizations in that sovereign nation, that's a stretch. That's just about as bad as occupying Panama and taking the Panama Canal, a sovereign nation, and going in there and taking a swath of a sovereign nation and calling it your own and taking it through military and economic means. That's just about as bad as sanctioning Greenland away from Denmark, which is a founding member of NATO. NATO, North American Treaty Organization. It's a group of countries that are supposed to protect each other from exactly this, from having their property taken away from them. And now the leading member of NATO, the United States, is the one that's being the bad guy and saying, well, no, this is for everybody's own good. And the Greenland people say, that's not going to happen. We're not going to kowtow to the United States. You can't buy us. You can't. And he's threatened military action to take Greenland, economic action for sure, but military action, and then trying to sanction Canada, call it the 51st state, through economic ties. It's just about as bad. It's just about as bad. See, the cartels going into Mexico is bad. Going into Panama is even worse. Going into Greenland is even worse. Coming into Canada, your only true neighbor and friend in the world, and you're going to try to take that country over. So it gets worse and worse and worse. Where does it stop? Well, with Donald Trump, who knows? Well, meddling in elections is probably a bad thing. That's the only reason the Liberals won in Canada is because Donald Trump meddled in the election. And he's also doing it in Australia, and he's also doing it in Singapore. Meddling in elections is actually illegal in all of these countries, and I don't see why they don't put out an arrest warrant for the Don, because meddling in an election, isn't that what they said Russia was doing? Isn't that what they said China was doing, meddling in Canadian elections? And then Donald Trump does it openly, and all of a sudden it's okay with the American people because, hey, we have a different standard for ourselves than we do for other people out there. You know what I mean. And that's just about as bad as trying to get somebody like, or a country like the Ukraine into NATO, using them as a proxy to have a war against Russia so that they can weaken the Russian resolve, try to kill their economy, and then when the Ukraine is losing really, really badly, the Americans stop all arms shipments to the Ukraine until they sign over their rare earth minerals. So how do you blackmail an entire country into, well, start the war, get the war going, make sure that they're losing, and then blackmail them into giving away their mineral rights to the United States, or the United States will let them crash and burn? How is that for a partner? No wonder people are going to China and saying, oh, geez, we'd rather do business with you. We'd rather trust you. You don't have a history of taking over countries like Libya and Lebanon and Somalia and Afghanistan, and the list goes on and on and on. And, the proxy wars that they've started over the years, the coups that they've done, the changing of the guard type thing, somebody that will lick their boots. We saw that Zelensky isn't a bootlicker. He's not the smartest cat on the block either. He's a warmonger, and he's making millions, probably billions off of it. But the American government is using that proxy war to steal from the Ukrainian people. Gotta love that. The Don is on his game. Art of the steal. Yes, indeed. And then, as a narcissist, probably the biggest narcissist in the entire world, he puts out an AI picture of him as Pope Trump. And then after everybody sort of backlashes, he says, "Oh, nobody can take a joke." The Catholics liked it. Well, the Catholics are the ones that are saying, you know, our Pope just passed away. You're making fun of this online. This is the most important person in the Catholic religion, other than Jesus Christ type thing, and you're making fun of it in the public eye. And I don't think the Catholics are really that interested in voting for Donald Trump in the future. So his ratings are going through the frickin' toilet. Start a tariff with 100% of the people, and this is all in the last 100 days, guys. 100% of the countries around the world. Start a tariff war with China. Make sure that in another month or two, all the shelves will be empty. The prices of toys will go through the roof. The price of everything is going through the roof. Your inflation is going to go higher. With higher inflation, interest rates are going to go up. And this is all due to one person making bad decisions on behalf of 300 and some million people in the United States. Good for you, Don. You're wrecking a country, and the Chinese are sitting back watching this happen going, we couldn't have done any better than that, even if we tried. Thanks, Don. You know, so Donald Trump is not an enemy of the Chinese government, the Chinese people, the Chinese economy. It's actually the biggest benefit they've seen with dealing with the United States in decades. And they're sitting back saying, you know, they're going to implode themselves. We don't have to do anything, so we'll just take care of our own stuff. We'll build our companies. We'll build our trading partners. We'll get more high-speed rail. We'll just do what we've been doing over the last 20, 30 years, and we'll forget about what they're doing over there because they're going to screw themselves. We don't have to do that. They'll do it to themselves. And while we're at it, why don't we block all the development of renewable resources, like windmills and solar farms, things like that. We'll clip the wings of all of the scientists around the world, or around the United States, so they leave for other parts of the world where they don't get funding for their labs. Where if you're a Chinese scientist, well, you'll be scrutinized to the point where you don't want to be there. These people are not stupid people. If they're not appreciated here, they'll get up, they'll move to a different country where they are appreciated. So the brain drain that Donald Trump is creating in the United States is enormous, and it's going to come back and bite them in the ass. No renewable resources, drill, scientists go away, we're not funding that, stopping the funding to Harvard, and the educational institutions, students are being pointed at and saying, oh, you could be a spy, so we don't want you in these courses, so they're not coming to the United States anymore, costing the educational institutions billions of dollars a year, and all because of the Don and his antiquated ideas of how it used to be in the 50s and 60s, and you can't go back. Manufacturing coming back to the United States when everybody wants to make $30 an hour, and in Vietnam they make $3 an hour, in the Philippines they might make $2 an hour. You know, it's just unsustainable. It doesn't make much sense. But you see, the Don is only in for another 3.5-ish years, and then he's gone. He's old. He doesn't care if he wrecks a country. He's going to be old. He's going to be dead, and it won't make any difference to him. The only people that are going to hurt are the American people that trusted in him, and the other people on the other side that thought that they could shoot somebody like Kamala Harris into the presidency, and so it's just bone-ass stupid on both sides of the fence. And the homeless crisis in the United States, you gotta love the irony of all of this. Now he's going to take away 40% of all rental aid. So there's a lot of poor people in the United States that rely on rental aid. About 40% of their rent is paid for by the federal government. And so he's going to take this away. And I guarantee you there'll be next month, after he does this, there'll be another 1 million people on the streets living in tents. And yeah, you see, and this, listen to this. This is why I'm doing this on my balcony, because I was going to go and do this video and it started to rain. And in the Philippines, when it starts to rain, it really rains. So, but those people on the streets, they're going to be on the streets of New York City, they're going to be on the streets of California, they're going to be on the streets of Tacoma, Washington, they're going to be on the streets of Las Vegas, Nevada. They're going to be in homeless camps, they're going to be living in tents, they're going to be sleeping on cardboard boxes, and it's a lot of that has to do with this one decision by the Trump administration, by the Don himself. Take away that 40%. You know what I mean? You know what I mean. And to bring this video to an end, the dumbest thing that he's done is rename the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. Like, what good does this do to anybody around the world? He's antagonizing Mexico. He's you can see what he's doing. He's trying to make enemies around the world. I'm better than you are. I'm a bully. I can do whatever the hell I want. I was gonna, but I'm not going there. And he's making enemies around the world. So, in the next 100 days, maybe I'll do this every 100 days and just tell you all the dumb things, all the dumb decisions that the Trump administration, because of Don himself, have brought upon the American people. And have fun with those empty shells. And that's another video from Gweilo 60, not from the Gulf of Mexico, not from the Gulf of America, but from a rainy day on my balcony here in Cowboy, Philippines. Gotta love it. Until next time, like, comment, subscribe, push that share button. Don't forget to resubscribe, hit the bell. And until next time, you know the score. Peace out. Thanks for watching. Bye now.